Hi, so welcome to the Vinyasa practice. We are going to be thinking about grounding but also uplifting, so we get the difference of the both sensations and feelings throughout the body. So this is going to be a relatively strong flow for intermediates. It can be for beginners as well, we just give slight adjustments. So we're bringing ourselves to a standing place. If you can line your mat up so the long edge of the mat is facing the camera rather than the short edge, which you probably normally do. So you're going to be seeing me a lot facing this direction, but we will be doing some of the vinyasas both to the left and right sides when we turn. So think about the feet being hip width apart. We're just going to bring the hands down by the sides of the body, turn the palms forward, take a close of the eyes, and when you've closed the eyes, bring a little softness into the knees, not necessarily a bend that you can see, just a micro bend that feels more internally rather than the external vision of it. When you've closed the eyes, just notice the sensation of the feet, noticing the weight in the ball of the foot, the heel of the foot, lifting maybe all 10 toes away from the floor first of all, and then start to bring them down from the little toe all the way through to the big toe. And as you bring the big toe down, the whole of that foot should feel totally grounded. Try not to rock out onto the outside edges. Try not to rock onto the inside edges. Find that comfortable space in the centre. Just take a moment standing here, stacking the knees over the ankles, the hips over the knees, the shoulders over the hips, top of the crown stacked on top of that spine. And think about just having a slight lift of the lower belly and a little tuck down of the tailbone, not so it goes comically, again just a micro movement on the internal body rather than the external body. As those palms are facing forward, just relax the fingers, relax the upper limbs. Try and just squeeze those shoulder blades together slightly, just to bring a little bit of expansion through the front of the chest. Just try and settle the body. You will still have very slight movements happening as your body reacts to the muscles that try and pull you in one direction, try and pull you in another. All the time, those muscles are working to keep us in this equilibrium, this space of balance. When you've noticed all those parts of the body that are maybe tight, maybe you're holding injuries, maybe you're just trying to be careful around certain spaces of the body. Once you're aware of all those, bring the attention then to the breath and just follow your own natural automatic breath as you stand in this standing anatomical position. Relaxed hands, relaxed shoulders, the hips relaxed, that little core engagement through the belly, just to hold us in a good strong corset around that centre. Bring your right hand up to the face, bring your right thumb onto the right nostril, bring your fingers of the second and third finger into the forehead, last two fingers at the side of the left nostril. Breathe in and out through the left a couple of times. Breathing in deeply in through that nostril and back out through that nostril again. Keeping those lips closed as you breathe in and out on that left side, clearing that left side nostril as much as you can. So we're doing this Nadi Shodhana. It's going to be alternate nostril breathing eventually, but we're trying to balance out both sides, duality, masculine, feminine, hot, cold, sun, moon, left and right sides, finding that equilibrium between the both places. As you get to the top of the in-breath on the left side, block the left off and breathe out through the right, and just breathe a couple of breaths in and out through that right nostril. Just noticing whether one side feels any different to the other side, always being aware of your breath, aware of your movement. With those eyes still closed, feeling those little movements of the body, trying to find the balance. When you next get to the top of your in-breath on the right side, block the right off, breathe out through the left. Breathe in through the left, block the left off, breathe out through the right. Breathe in through the right, block the right off, breathe out through the left. Breathe in through the left, block the left off, breathe out through the right. Keep that going a few times on both sides. Alternate nostril breathing, Nadi Shodhana, calming the mind, calming the nervous system. Bringing ourselves into that place of rest and digest. Before we start to build up the practice to bring it a little bit more into strengthening, bringing it more into balance as we take those balances in the practice. The next time you get to the bottom of your out breath on the left side, bring the hand back down by the side of the body. Open the eyes, take a breath in, roll the shoulders up towards the ears and back down towards the hips. Next breath in, raise those hands up to the ceiling. On your out breath, bring the hands out by the sides of the body and start to fold over those legs, bringing the hands to the floor, bending the knees. In breath, raise the hands back up out to the side, back up to the ceiling. Breath out, fold back over those legs, arms out wide as you bring them back to the floor. Do that a few more times. The breath in lifts the body, lifts the hands up. The breath out, they float back down via the sides, bringing them back to the floor. Another 2 rounds of these. Lifting up on the inhale, relaxing down on the exhale. Breath in, lift up on the inhale, bring the hands up to the ceiling. And then bring the hands down by the sides of the body. Bring the hands onto the hips, starting with our standing balance of tree. So I'm going to mirror image you. Put your weight into your right foot. Bring your left knee up, turn it out to the side. Bring that left foot to either the inside of the shin or up into that thigh above the knee, but not pushing into that knee. Once you've found the legs and a focal point to focus on, bring the hands to the chest, palms together. And just take a couple of breaths here. Externally rotating out with that left knee, pushing those hips forward, feeling the balancing that standing right leg. All those muscles moving around the ankle, that grounding to the floor with the foot, and the uplifting as we breathe in, growing up through the crown of the head, stacking those vertebrae one on top of the other. Just finding that balance, that calm mind, that relaxed nervous system. Holding it here for one more breath. Bring the hands to the hips, bring that left foot to the floor. Bring your weight into your left foot, keep the hips square, make sure the toes are in front of the heels. Bring up with your right knee and turn it into a space, either the toes on the floor, toes onto the shins, or bring that foot in towards that left thigh. Pushing the sole of the right foot into the left thigh as much as you can and resisting with that left thigh. Grounding that foot into the side of that left leg. Bring the hands to the chest once you've found the focal point and the legs. Push into the palms to activate. Again, lifting up through the crown of the head, pushing those hips slightly forward to keep that strength around that corset. The glutes on that left side are activating to hold us in this space. The ankles around that left foot are also working hard. Keep breathing in this space. That right knee turned out to the side, getting that external rotation of that hip. Holding it in this space just for another breath. Then bring those hands back to the hips, that right foot back to the floor. Heel toe the feet out, nice and wide. And making sure the toes are in front of the heels, shoulders relaxed. Bring the arms up towards the ceiling. And then as you breathe out, bring the hands through by the chest and start to fold to a half fold. When you get to a half fold, reach the arms back out. Keep nice and strong in the center, palms facing down. Then bring those hands back together. Lift up through the chest, lift up through the arms. Bring the arms back to a T shape. Bring the hands to the hips. Next breath in, hands come all the way back up to the ceiling. Bring the hands to the chest as you start to fold from those hips into a half fold. Keep pushing into the outsides of the feet. Reach out with the arms, stabilize into the floor. Keep that core center engaged. Then reach back up towards the ceiling. Bring the hands to the chest. Turn the heels out, heels in, toes out. Take a bend into both knees as you sink low in the hips to take a sumo squat. Shoulders drawn down, tailbone tucked under, lower belly lift. Still feeling that crown of the head reaching up to the ceiling, the tailbone reaching down towards the floor, the feet grounding into the mat to keep that stability. And we're squeezing the outside of the hips to turn those knees out as much as we can to get a stretch on that inner groin on both thighs. Your next breath in, standing back up, straightening through the legs. Bring the hands to the hips, turning your right toes to the short edge, your left toes to the long edge. Take a bend into your right knee. Brings arms out to T-shape, finding our warrior two for a couple of breaths. Stabilizing, maximizing the strength of those thighs, maximizing the strength of that stability as we push strong into the floor. Thinking about somebody drawing the hands to either side of the room, but the shoulders stay relaxed as those arms lengthen. Then bringing your right forearm onto the right thigh, reaching up and over with the left hand. Taking side angle stretch, chest turning to the front or maybe up a little to the ceiling. Maybe the gaze is up to that thumb, that top hand. One more breath here. Then bring both hands down, either side of your right foot. Send that right leg up towards the ceiling. Bring it back down to meet the left. Finding a downward facing dog space. The feet are hip width apart, the hands are shoulder width apart. We'll take a breath in as we come forward to a plank position. We'll drop down the knees, we untuck the toes, turn the creases of the elbows, slowly release to the floor. Push into the hands and lift up the chest. Then release that chest back down. Tuck under with the toes, bring the chest back to the thighs. Making our way to down dog, lifting the hips and squeezing those heels back. Your next breath in, your right leg lifts. Breath out, bring knee to nose and squeeze. Breath in, right leg lifts. Breath out, knee towards the elbow on that right side. Breath in and lift. Knee towards the elbow on the left side. Lift that leg and bring that foot to the floor. Your next breath in, come forward to a plank. Choice to drop the knees if you wish, or coming with me, releasing to the floor with straight bodies, untucking the toes, coming into a back bend. Release that chest back down, tuck under with the toes, bring the chest back to the thighs. Pushing into the hands and feet, lifting up the hips and squeezing those heels back. Push down into the feet, push down into the hands, raise through the tailbone, lightness and lift through the upper part of the body, stability through the bottom part of the body. Your next breath in, your right leg lifts. Breath out, bring knee to nose. Breath in, right leg lifts. Breath out, right knee to right elbow. Breath in and lift. Right knee to left elbow. Breath in and lift. Then bring that foot to the floor. Come forward to a plank on the inhale. Choice to drop knees or come straight to the floor, straight body, or find that hover. Roll through, up, lift up the chest if you're with me, thighs staying away. Taking it back to down dog, either chest to thighs or rolling straight over those toes, lifting those hips and squeezing those heels back. Breath in, your right leg lifts. Breath out, knee to nose. Breath in, right leg lifts. Breath out, right knee, right elbow. Breath in, right leg lifts. Breath out, knee to left elbow. Breath in, leg lifts. Breath out, bring that foot in between the hands. Drop the back heel, bringing your right forearm onto the top of the right thigh. Reach up and over with the left hand, finding that side angle stretch again. Opening the chest, gazing up towards the hand. Breathing into that rib cage on that right side. Trying to lengthen the torso on both sides of the body as much as you can, so we're not just collapsing over onto that right thigh. Bring those shoulders back over the hips. Find your warrior two space. Activate those legs, activate your stance, activate your arms by reaching forward and back to either side of the room. Then straighten up through that right leg. Set both sets of toes out to the side and bring the hands to the hips. Heels slightly in, toes out. Breath in, bring those hands up towards the ceiling. As you breathe out, bring the hands to the chest. As you lean forward with those toes turned out this time. Breath in, reach out to the sides, palms face down. Breath in, bring the hands back to the chest. And on your in-breath, reach up with the hands. And then bring those hands all the way back down to the hips. Take a bend into the knees, bring the seat low. Finding that Sumo Squat. Place the hands on the knees, bringing your left shoulder to the right knee. Come back to center and right shoulder to the left knee. All the time feeling the push of the feet into the floor. Back to the center, straighten up through the legs. Turning to the opposite side of the room now. So your left toes turn to the short edge, right toes to the long edge. Bend in to that left knee. Open the arms out nice and wide, palms facing down. Crown of the head growing up, tailbone pushing down. Lift of the lower belly, the length through the sides of the waist. Length through the fingertips, relax shoulders. Easy breaths in. Long breaths out. Maybe sink a little lower into that knee. Then bringing your left forearm onto the top of the left thigh. We're reaching up and over with that top hand. Maybe gazing up towards that thumb of that right hand. Turn that chest maybe up a little more. Elongate both sides of the waist. Try not to just collapse over onto that that left forearm, which is laying on the top of that left thigh. Then bring both hands down to either side of that left foot. Raise that left leg up to the ceiling. Bring it back down to meet the right. Come forward to a plank on the inhale. Drop down the knees and tuck the toes, release to the floor with a straight body. Push into the hands and lift up the chest, taking a back bend. Releasing back down, tucking under the toes, bringing the chest back to the thighs. Pushing into the hands and feet, lifting up the hips and squeezing the heels back. Breath in, we raise the left leg. Breath out, bring that left knee to the left elbow. Breath in, raise that leg. Breath out, left knee to the chest. Raise that leg. Breath out, left knee, right elbow. Breath in, raise that leg. Breath out, bring it down to meet the right foot. Come forward to plank, inhale. Release straight bodies to the floor or drop the knees. Untuck the toes, push into the hands and lift up the chest. Release the chest back down, tuck under with the toes. Bring those chests back towards the thighs. Push into the hands, push into the feet, lift up the hips, squeeze the heels back. Breath in, your left leg lifts. Breath out, left knee, left elbow, and squeeze. Raise that leg. Left knee to the chest and squeeze. Raise the leg. Left knee, right elbow, and squeeze. And raise that leg. And bring that foot down to meet the right. Come forward to a plank. Release all the way to the floor, straight bodies dropping, knees or hover. Roll through, up, lift up the chest. Making your way back to down dog, either chest to thighs or rolling straight over those toes, lifting those hips, squeezing those heels back. Next breath in, your left leg lifts. Bring the knee to the chest and step that foot through. Drop the back heel down, bringing your left hand to the inside of the left foot. Then bring that left forearm up onto that left thigh. Reach over with the right hand towards that left side of the room. Keeping bent into that left knee. Long through the left side waist and the right side waist. Maybe gazing up to that top foot. Then bring those shoulders over those hips, and we're finding our warrior two again, pushing nice and strong into those feet, tailbones tucked under, bellies drawn back. Maybe sink into that knee a little deeper, reach out further with the hands, relax the shoulders, uplifted through the upper part of the body and grounded through the lower part of the body. Bring a straightness through that left leg, turn both sets of toes towards that long edge of the mat. So heels slightly out, toes slightly in this time. Take a breath in. On your out breath, keeping your hands on your hips, come to a half fold. Take another breath in here. On your out breath, fold over those legs, keeping those sit bones high, bringing the hands either to the ankles or the floor, or the shins, wherever they reach. And try and use the strength of the arms to bring your body into a little more fold. Remember, you can bend the knees if you need to. Have a little nod and a shake of those heads and maybe a roll of those shoulders. Just allowing that gravity to take the upper body down and lift that tailbone up towards the ceiling. Lengthening up through those backs of the legs, but pushing strong into the sides of the feet. Next breath in, come up to a half lift. Place the hands back on the hips. And then breathe in again, lifting those shoulders over the hips. Roll the shoulders up towards the ears, heel toe the feet, back into the center. And as you come to that center space, we're going to take the weight into our right foot as we raise that left knee up to hip height. This time, turn the knee out slightly, place that foot on top of that standing right thigh, and then take a bend into that standing leg, having an external rotation through that left hip. When you've found the legs, bring the hands to chest at the center, a focal point in front of you, breathing deeply in and out through the nose if you can, keeping that muscle engagement, that lift of that pelvic floor, trying to feel like you're stopping maybe a wee. It just helps to engage the core center as you lift that pelvic floor. Holding here just for another breath. Then release the hands behind and take an interlace of the fingers at the bum, squeeze the shoulder blades together and maybe just fold over that standing leg a little more. Expansion through the front of the chest, Maybe a little more openness through that outside of that left hip. One more breath here. Maybe lift the arms away from the back a little more. Then bring those hands back to the hips. Lift the shoulders back over. And then step that left foot back to meet the right. Take a little paddle of the feet. Bring your weight now into your left leg. Lift up with that right knee and bring the outside of the right ankle onto the top of the left thigh. Take a bend into that standing leg. Find something to focus on in front of you. Once you've found the legs, maybe find the hands. Keeping the toes of that right foot back to the shins to protect that knee. Hold it in this space for a couple of breaths before we take that other arm variation in a moment. Then bring the hands behind the back. As you move the limbs, it makes you a little more unstable. As you push those hands towards the lower part of the bum, open through the chest and maybe lean a little further over that standing leg. Keep focusing on something that's not moving. Maybe you want to lift those hands away from the body a little more. Hold it here just for another breath. And then bring those hands back to the hips. Lift up with the shoulders. Replace that right foot back down. Take a little paddle through the feet. And then heel toe the feet out to the lengths of the mat. Bring the arms out to a T shape. Turn your right toes to the short edge. Reach out to the side with the right hand. As the left hand lifts, we gaze up to that left thumb. Chest facing towards me. Hips pushing forward. Shoulders pushing back. Lengthening both sides of the torso as equally as you can. And try not to hyperextend that right knee. Keeping easy breaths coming in and out through that nose. Stability through the floor. Uplift through the crown of the head. Hold that head in line with the spine. As you take this stretch of both arms, reaching up to the sky with the left hand, down to the floor with the right hand. Stacking that left shoulder on top of the right with that triangle pose, just holding these poses just for a little longer. And then bring the shoulders back over the hips, turning your left toes in slightly, turning the shoulders and hips to the right side of the room. Maybe you need to step that back foot a little further in. Reach up with the left hand, reach forward with the left hand towards the side of the room. Then bring that left hand to the outside of the right leg. And then reach the right arm up to the ceiling to find a reverse triangle. So now we're trying to stack the right shoulder on top of the left. Both legs stay nice and straight. Try and encourage your left hip forward and your right hip back. Keep pushing strong into both feet. Holding it in that reverse triangle for a couple of breaths. Maybe lifting the gaze up towards that right hand. One more breath here. Then release both hands down to either side of the right foot, bend the right knee. Come onto the toes of the back foot as you raise that right leg. Bring that knee to the chest. Raise it back up. Bring your right knee to right elbow. Raise it back up. Right knee, left elbow. Raise back up. And then bring that foot to the floor. And take an option vinyasa of your choice. I'm taking option 1, forward to plank. Dropping the knees and tucking the toes, release to the floor. Roll through, uplift the chest. Make your way back to down dog, either chest to thighs or rolling straight over those toes. Lifting those hips, squeezing those heels back. Next breath in, your right leg lifts. And bring that knee to the chest. Then lift the right leg. Right knee, right elbow. Lift that leg. Right knee, left elbow. Squeeze it under the body. Lift that leg. This time, right foot comes in between the hands. Drop the back heel, straighten both legs. We're going reverse back again. Bring your left hand to the outside of the right leg. Reach that right hand up to the ceiling and find that twisted, rotated triangle. Then bringing that right hand to the inside of the right leg and reach that left hand up to the ceiling to find that triangle pose facing back to the front, that long edge of the mat. Creating that length and space down the side of the body. Then bring those shoulders back over the hips. Turn both sets of toes out to the edges of the mat. Bring the hands to the hips. Start to bend into those knees, finding a sumo squat. Taking the hips as low as you can go. Then just rock the hips a little from side to side. Straightening and bending, one knee at a time. Just finding a little mobility through those hips. One more from side to side. And then straighten back up through the legs. Arms out to a T shape. Turn the right toes in slightly. The left toes to that short edge. Reach forward with the left hand. Bring that left hand to the inside of that left leg as the right hand lifts. Try and create length both through both sides torsos. Reaching up as high as you can with that right hand and down as far as you can with the left. Expansion of the chest. The head is being held by the muscles in the neck. Gravity wants to make it pull down. Use those muscles to keep it in line with the spine. Breathing easy here as you stack that right shoulder on top of your left. Your next breath in, bring those shoulders back over the hips. Turning your right toes in slightly, your shoulders and hips to the front, to the side. Reach up with your right hand, then forward and fold. Bring your right hand to the outside of the left leg. Turn the shoulders to stack that left shoulder on top of the right, and then reach that left hand up to the ceiling, the right hand down to the floor. Rotation through the waist, encouraging your right hip forward, your left hip back. Easy breaths here, maybe gazing to that left thumb. Breathing easy. Holding with strength and endurance of the pose. Pushing strong into those feet. Find that stability from the earth. One more breath in this space with that right shoulder tucking under and the left shoulder stacking. Then bring the hands to either side of that left foot. Step the right foot back a little further maybe. Raising the left leg up to the ceiling. Bring the knee to the nose. Raise that leg. Left knee to the left elbow. Raise that leg. Left knee to the right elbow. Raise that leg. And then bring that foot to the floor and take a choice vinyasa of yours, forward to plank inhale. I'm taking option 2, releasing to the floor, straight body. Pushing into the hands and lifting up the chest. Releasing the chest back down and tucking under with the toes. Chest back to the thighs, or just rolling straight over those toes as you lift those hips. Next breath in, left leg lifts. Bring the knee to the nose. Lift that left leg. Left knee to left elbow. And lift that leg. Left knee to right elbow. And lift that leg. Bring that left foot in between the hands, plant it down firmly. Let that right heel drop down, straighten through both legs. Bring your right hand to the outside of the left leg as you reach the left hand up, finding that twisted triangle again, both legs straight, rotation from the waist, right hip coming forward, left hip coming back, maybe gazing up to that left hand. Then bringing that left hand down, bring it to the inside of that left leg, then reach up with the right hand and turn the chest back to the front to our traditional triangle pose, creating that length along the side of both sides of the torso, thinking about tucking that left shoulder under, the right shoulder to stack. Easy breaths in and out. Then when you take a next breath in, bring those shoulders back over those hips. Turn both sets of toes slightly in, heels slightly out, and find that wide leg, hands on the hips. Breathe in. Breathe out and fold to a half fold. Bring the hands to the floor. Bring your right hand into the center, left hand onto the left shoulder, turn, twist, rotate. Maybe send that hand up to the ceiling, maybe gaze up to that thumb. Turning to that left side room, energetically pushing into both outside edges of the feet. Pushing into those big toes also. That right hand that's grounded, widen the fingers, push into the index finger, thumb, little finger. And think lightness as lift as you raise that left hand as high as you can to the ceiling. Bringing that left hand down, which is now becoming the grounding hand. And the right hand comes to the shoulder and becomes the lifted hand up to the ceiling, gazing up to that thumb. Using that left hand as an anchor, a support, the feet as a support, and some activation through those lower limbs. Bringing that hand back down. Let the body fold over those thighs. Let go of the head. Next breath in, bend the knees, slowly curl up through that spine, one vertebra at a time. Bring yourself all the way up to standing. As you arrive in standing, take a roll of the shoulders up towards the hip, ears back down towards the hips. Heel toe the feet back into the centre. We'll take another standing balance. So we're going to go with dancer pose. Bring your weight into your right foot and lift the left knee up to hip height. Take a hold of that left ankle with the left hand and then bring that left knee down to meet the right knee. Reach up with that right hand to the ceiling. Push down into that right foot for stability. And then start to lean forward with the torso. Forward with that right hand. As you push that left foot into the left hand. Raising up that left knee as high as you can. Keep pushing in to lift that leg. Find that focal point in front of you for your balance, your concentration. One more breath here. Then slowly start to make your way back. Bring that hand back to the hip. Keep a hold of that foot. Squeeze that left foot into the bum. Align the knees. Push the hips forward. Get into a quad stretch. One more breath here. Then release that foot to the floor. Take a paddle of the feet. To take that balance on the opposite side. Weight comes into your left foot. Keeping the hips square. Raise the right knee. Then bring that right hand onto the right ankle. Start to bring that knee in line with the left. Reach up with the left hand. Then start to lean forward with the torso. Forward with the left arm. Pushing the right foot into the right hand. Try to keep both hips as square as you can. And something in front of you to focus on. Noticing the muscles in that standing left leg working, the grounding through the foot, the elongation through that left side body, reaching forward with the left hand. And then start to slowly come back through. Keeping a hold of that right foot in the right hand. Bring your left hand onto the hip. Align the knees, bring the foot into the bum, push the hips forward. Squeeze those shoulder blades together. One more breath in this space. And then release that foot to the floor. Take a little paddle of the feet. Then heel toe those feet out again, nice and wide. And turn the right toes to the long edge. To the short edge. Left toes to the long edge. Turn the shoulders and come onto the toes of the back foot. Sink into the hips. Bring those shoulders back. Palms together at the chest. Then taking your left elbow to your right knee and rotate around to the back of the room. Try not to let that left hip drop down. Keeping the left leg as straight as possible and the right knee bent as much as you can. Almost trying to stack that right knee on top of the right ankle. Using that left elbow to anchor some twists through the body. Creating some space around the waist. Then take a gaze down towards that right foot. Step your left foot to meet your right. And just sink into that rotated chair pose. Both knees in line, both sets of toes in line. Still maintaining that rotation of the body. The hips staying low. The bum's tucked under, the lower belly's lifting. Stacking that right shoulder as much as you can on top of the left. Bring your weight back into your right foot as you step your left foot back again. Hold it in that twisted lunge. Just for one more breath. Bring the hands down to either side of that right foot. Lift that right leg up towards the ceiling. And bring that knee to the nose. Raise that leg. And bring that right knee to the right elbow. Raise that leg. Right knee to left elbow. Raise the leg again. And bring that foot to the floor. Take a flow vinyasa of your choice. I'm taking option 3 to a hover. Roll through up and lift up the chests. Making your way back to your down dog. Lifting those hips, squeezing those heels back. Widen the fingers, ground through the hands and the feet. Lifted through the tailbone. Next breath in, your right leg lifts. Knee comes to the chest. Right leg lifts. Right knee, right elbow. Right leg lifts. Right knee, left elbow. Right leg lifts. And step that right foot through. Bring the hands together at the chest. And find that rotation around towards the back of the room. So it's the left elbow hooking the right knee. Then just take a gaze towards that right foot and step your left foot forward to meet, finding that chair pose. Sink the hips low. Rotate the shoulders a little more. Knees and toes in line. Then bring the weight back onto your right foot, stepping your left foot back through. Then turn the shoulders, raise the arms, turn back to the front, hands to the hips, toes pointing out, heels pointing in. Take a bend into the knees and bring those sit bones low. Bring the hands to the chest, elbows and palms together. On your in-breath, cactus the arms. On your out-breath, bring them back in together. Work them like gates. Open, lift, and close. One more time. Squeeze those shoulder blades together as much as you can and bring them back together. Bring the hands back to the hips, straighten up through the legs. Turning your left toes to the short edge, right toes to the long edge, then turn the shoulders and hips, come onto the toes of that right foot, bring the palms together. Right elbow hooks your left knee, and we rotate around to the back of the room, trying to keep both hips nice and neutral. The stability through the feet, the growth through the crown of the head. Hold it there for a breath. Then gaze towards that front foot. Step your right foot to meet that left foot. Align the toes, the knees, keep the rotation in the chair. Keep the hips low, feather-like touch through the heels. Feeling that left shoulder stacking more on top of the right without the knees coming out of line. If the knees come out of line, it means the pelvis is tilted. One more breath. Keeping that twist, put your weight back into your left foot, stepping your right foot back into a lunge. Hold that rotation just for a couple of breaths. Keeping that left knee bent, knee stacking over that ankle. And then release those hands to the floor, either side of the left foot. Raise the left leg. Bring the knee to the chest. Raise it up. Left knee, left elbow. Raise it up. Left knee, right elbow. Raise it up. And bring that foot to meet the right. Take a vinyasa, forward to plank. Choice to the floor of yours. Roll through, up, lift up the chest. Making your way back to down dog. Lifting the hips, squeezing those heels back. Again, your left leg lifts. Bring your knee to the chest and lift that left leg. Left knee, left elbow. And lift that leg. Left knee, right elbow. And lift that leg. Bring the knee back to the chest and step that foot through. Bring the hands to the chest. Your right elbow hooks the left knee and we rotate, pushing into those palms. Try not to drop into those hips. Hold it here for a couple of breaths. And then gazing down to the toes of the front foot, stepping your right foot to meet the left. Keep it nice and balanced. Toes in line, knees in line. Feather-like touch through the toes, but a grounding through the heels. The crown is reaching forward, the tailbone is reaching back. The shoulders are trying to stack left on top of the right. Holding this rotation, bring your weight back into your left leg. Stepping your right leg back. Try and keep it balanced, try and keep it secure. Holding it here for a breath. Then reach up with the arms. Then out to turn to the front. Heel toe the feet into the centre, hands to the hips. And then bring yourself down into a crouch position. So your choice can be just to have a little bit of security if you wish, to bring a cushion just underneath the head space. It's just a security in case you fall forward. You don't have to do this balance. I'm going to take it from a different angle for you here. So we've done some balances on feet. We're now going to do some balances on hands, but we're going to take it gradually to find crow pose. So the hands come in front of you, you widen the fingers, so think about crow's feet. And then you lift up with your hips, you maybe walk the feet in a little closer. And the aim is to get those knees nice and tight into those armpits. So think of this as your crash place, but hopefully you don't. So then when those knees are tucked into those shoulders, you just start to lean forward, bending into the elbows and just bringing the weight into those upper arms, those triceps. And this might be where you stay, feeling it here. If you're going to try to take it into a balance. Maybe you want to lift one foot away first and then release it down. Lift the other foot away and release it back down. And do that maybe a few times, just rocking in and out of that space. All the time, trying to keep those knees stacked on those triceps and into those armpits. If you're going to try for the full balance, you counterpose the balance. You feel like that head is coming forward and you keep those bums lifted up high. As you lift one foot away at a time, maybe bringing those toes together. Keep gazing forward rather than down. Holding it here for a couple of more breaths. That bum stays nice and high and lifted. One more breath. Then release the feet to the floor. Take a bend into the knees, keep the heels lifted. Bring the shoulders over the hips, arms out by the sides at shoulder height. Keep pushing those heels up over those toes. Keep grounding into the floor with the toes, lifting up through the crown of the head. Relax those shoulders. Taking one more breath here. Before we try that crow pose again, bring the hands down. Bring the knees in towards those armpits. You know where you can go with other options if you're coming with me. Leaning forward, lifting one set of toes at a time. Finding that balance on the hands, maybe gripping with the fingers slightly. Knowing that cushion is there to fall on. One more breath here. Then release. Bring the bum to the floor. You can remove the cushion if you've been using. Feet out, nice and wide apart. Toes back. Push heels away, knees lifted up to the ceiling. Remove flesh from under sit bones, so we're not hooking that lower back under. Bring the hands in front of you. Start to walk forward with the hands, down with the chest. Go into your range of movement. It may be that you come quite low, but use that breath. The in-breath lifts, creates the space. The out-breath, we find the grounding and a little more flexion, maybe to the floor. It may be that you don't come this deep, it may be you're here, but the intention is to engage these thighs, to push the knees down, bring the toes back to engage the front of the shins and lengthen the back of the shins, and keep those sit bones nice and grounded, just working on your depth with your breath. Easy breaths in and long breaths out. Then walking the hands back up in towards you. Bringing your right hand on your right thigh or just to the inside of the right leg. Reach up with your left hand and then start to fold over towards the right toes. Just reaching as much as you can through that top arm. Keep pushing down into that left sit bone. Feel the grounding. Feel the stretch. Feel the length. Contraction, flexion, lengthening. Everything down that left side. Come back to centre. And then take it the other side. So either the left hand on the shin or the inside of the left leg. Reach up with the right hand, start to reach over to that left foot. Keeping that chest turned forward, that right sit bone grounded, pushing into the heels of both feet. Pushing into the floor by engaging the thighs, lifting up through the chest. Expansion of that right side body. And contraction of the left side body. Bring those shoulders back up to centre. Bring the legs into the middle. So we're going to take a hamstring stretch, but it's going to be included into a forward fold and then a lift of the leg. So making sure again that flesh is from underneath the sit bones. Reach up with the arms, create the space, create the lift, create the lightness. Push down into the sit bones to create the grounding and stability. And on your out breath, fold over the leg and bring the hand to your left leg, either the shin, the ankle or the foot. If it's the foot, interlace the fingers or just take a hold of the ankle or shin. Let the head hang for a moment. Then on your in-breath, we're going to try and lift up that left leg, taking it into that hamstring stretch down the back. So the toes and the heels are pushing up, the sit bones is pushing down, creating those two different spaces to create that length in between. And then as controlled as you brought that leg up, see whether you can come back to that fold by taking that left leg down nice and slow, rather than just letting it go. Breath in, raise the hands back up to the ceiling. On your breath out, now fold to your right leg, taking a hold of wherever you reach, shin, ankle or foot. If you're able to grab the foot, interlace the fingers. Let the head hang for a moment. Then on your in-breath, start to raise up with that leg. Trying to keep it as straight as possible. The weight of the leg creates some strength work for the back. Toes back to the shins, heels pushing away. Relax the shoulders. Breathe deeply. Feel that space at the back of that right leg stretching. That foot is in dorsiflexion, so the toes are back to the shins. The foot of the left is also in dorsiflexion, staying active in that leg. And then with as much control as you came up, try and go down nice and slow with that right leg. Breath in, raise the hands. Breath out, fold over both legs. And just let that body fold, let that body relax, let go of the neck, let the head hang. Then curling back up through that spine. If you've not already turned to the length of your mat, turn the body to the side. Bring the hands behind you, fingers pointing in. Or if you're happier with fingers pointing out to the sides, a little more comfortable for the wrists and the shoulders, take whichever variation suits you. You can either bend the knees and bring it into reverse tabletop, or if you're coming with me, you push into the heels as you lift the hips. As you start to lift the hips, take the feet into plantar flexion, which is the point of the toes. Bringing the toes towards the mat or the floor, and the hips towards the ceiling. The gaze is going up, the squeeze of the shoulder blades to create some expansion through that chest. The weight of the body wants to be dropping to the floor, but you're using the muscles in the back to lift it to the ceiling. Lightness and lift as you push those hips up. Then on your out breath, slowly let those hips come back down to the floor. And lift those shoulders back over the hips. Maybe just give a little shake of those wrists. We're going to take it back into that place again. So choice to either come into that tabletop with the bent knees or plank reversed. We're going to lift one leg at a time. It will challenge the glutes a little more to keep the hips lifted. So bringing the hands back behind the back, choose whether your fingers are in or out to the sides. Push then into your heels or the feet if the knees are bent. And lift up those hips up to that reverse plank and point those toes again. Put your weight into your left heel as you raise your right leg. Hold it there for a breath. Then release that right leg back to the floor. Put your weight into your right heel as you lift your left leg. Bring that left foot back to the floor, the hips back to the mat. Raise the hands up towards the ceiling. Take a forward fold just for a breath. Elongate, inhale. Relax, exhale. And then from this position, make your way down to the floor, curling all the way through that spine, letting the arms just be heavy to the legs. Slowly bringing yourself down onto the mat. Bring your head to the floor. Maybe take a bend in both knees and neutralise those forward and back bends with a little windscreen wipe of the legs. Going one side and then over to the other. Just a couple more both ways. And then bringing those knees back into the centre. Give the knees a little hug into the chest. Maybe make a couple of circles with the knees in one direction. And then over to the other side. And then bring those feet to the floor. We're going to do relaxation with butterfly legs unless you choose to do any other. Soles of the feet together, knees dropping out. Maybe just have a little rock of those hips from side to side. So bringing your left hand onto the belly and think about the breath being sent here. Bring the hips to some stillness in the knees. Bring your right thumb onto your right nostril, the middle fingers into the forehead, last two fingers at the side of the left nostril. And we're going to take some alternate nostril breathing. Breathe in through the left. Hold at the left, shut the left off, breathe out through the right. Breathe in through the right. Hold the right off, breathe out through the left. Breathe in through the left. Hold the left off, breathe out through the right. Breathe in through the right. Hold the right off, breathe out through the left. Feel that hand rise up like a balloon on the inhale through the left nostril. On the out breath, out through the right, belly sinks back. Keep that going to your breath. When you next get to the out breath on the left side, bring the hands then down by the sides of the body. Let the palms face up, the fingers gently curl. Your choice can be to stay here with the legs in butterfly position, or if you wish to send them long, send them long. Just taking a couple of more breaths here, natural automatic breathing. Just consolidating your practice. Noticing any changes, noticing the support of the floor as you breathe out, and the lightness and lift as you breathe in. Maybe start to wriggle the fingers now, wriggle the toes. If the legs are still in butterfly legs, help the knees back into the centre. If they're out long, everybody bringing the knees in towards the chest. Maybe having a little rock of the side of the bodies, massaging those spines. And then making your way onto one side, make a pillow with the hands. Just take a couple of easy breaths here, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Then making your way into a seated position, finding that happy seat for you. Either cross-legs on the knees or legs out in front. Bring the hands onto the thighs. Take a tuck of the chin in towards the chest to stretch the back of the neck. Maybe roll the left ear to the left shoulder. And back through centre. And roll it the other way. Back through centre. Bring the hands to the chest. Soft gaze to the floor. Breathe in wisdom and peace. Breathe out love and joy. Namaste.